Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin Liber Primus, Chapter 6. This is a video lesson on the syntax of Chapter 6 concerning tenses, the present, the imperfect, and the future tenses, as well as the dative case, focusing on the dative of indirect object and the dative of possession. So first, tenses. Tense, talking about verbs, person, number, and tense. Tense refers to time, when the action of the verb took place. So we know three tenses in Latin right now. They are the present tense, the imperfect tense, and the future tense. So the present tense refers to an action that is happening right now in the present time. I love. It's happening right now. Present time, I love. English also has a present progressive form. I am loving. So the subject pronoun, then the helping verb, and then the participial form of the English verb. So loving. I am loving. It's happening right now. It's progressive. I do love is English's emphatic form. So I do love. It's emphatic. It's intensified. Latin doesn't have these variations between what's called the punctual, I love, the progressive, I am loving, and the emphatic, I do love. Latin just lumps that all together under its present tense, which would be amo. Now the Latin imperfect tense refers to actions which were happening. They used to happen in the past. It is equivalent to the present tense in that it is an ongoing, progressive, happening, currently action, but just instead of currently, take that action and put it in the past. I was loving. So today I can say I am loving, and then in 2 weeks I can refer to it as I was loving. This is in past time. The Latin imperfectum means incomplete, the im being in, so negating perfectum. Perfectum means thoroughly done, so completed. It is an incomplete action. It's not completed. The action was ongoing in the past. It was habitual. It was a habit. It was continuous. It was progressive in the past. We could also say the English I used to verb. I used to love. The future tense refers to actions which will happen in the future. So this is equivalent to the present tense, but put it in future time. So instead of I love, I will love, or I shall love. You could also translate it as I will be loving, but that's very rare, very odd, and I don't think we ever really translate future tense verbs like that. We usually just keep it with I will love, the future punctual, or I shall love. So an action that is happening in the future. So Latin has present tense, imperfect tense right here as one of its past tenses, and then the future tense. All right, moving on to English syntax. English shows the indirect object. So the indirect object is the noun, the thing that receives the action, or receives the direct object in the accusative case. So the indirect object sort of indirectly receives the action of the verb. So the example, I give the gift to the girl. Subject I, the verb is give. I give the accusative direct object to a dative indirect object, to the girl. So the girl is being indirectly affected by the action of the giving. The one that's being directly affected by the action of the verb, the giving, that's the accusative direct object, hence direct. Dative, indirect. So the dative receives the action of the verb somehow in some indirect way. So in English, we show this either by using a prepositional phrase, to or for, the prepositions to or for, and then the noun. I give the gift to the girl. Subject, verb, direct object, indirect object, to the girl. Or English has this nifty thing with word order, placing the indirect object before the direct object. So instead of I give the gift to the girl, we could say I give the girl the gift. So word order, very important here. We have subject, I, we have verb give, we have the indirect object first. Notice the lack of the preposition. It's not a prepositional phrase. So the girl, and then the accusative direct object comes immediately after. I give the girl the gift. So Latin has no way to express number one. So Latin never uses a prepositional phrase, any preposition to show the indirect object. Latin uses the dative case for both options. So the dative case, the root is dot, he, she, it gives. So it's a case that's built around giving an accusative direct object to an indirect object, dative indirect object. Additionally, the dative does show that someone can be affected by the verb's actions somehow in some way. And that's really why the dative can be tricky for some students. There's a little bit of a mystery about it. Like, what's it for? Like, what is this some way that is indirectly affected by the verb? And it takes practice. You just have to read. You have to see lots of examples of datives, and then you sort of get a feel for it. So your training wheels translation for the dative is to or for. To or for. And it's usually used with verbs of giving, verbs of saying or telling, because you can tell something to someone or tell someone something. You can say something to someone or say, yeah. Don't do that. Say someone something. We can show someone who's indirectly affected by the verb's action. So I did a favor for you. I did direct object a favor for you. So I did a favor to you. We don't really say that in English, hence we use both prepositions to and for. All right, so let's begin with the dative indirect object. Indicates the indirect object, the noun that's somehow affected by the action of the verb, usually receiving the accusative direct object. So donum puellae do. Donum puellae do. I give, first person singular present tense, I give the accusative singular direct object gift. Puellae, to the girl. This is dative, to the girl. She is indirectly being affected by the action of the verb. The accusative direct object gets the full force of the action, do, giving, because that's the thing being given. And then it's being given to the puellae. The puellae is indirectly affected. Oh, this gift is for me? How nice. We could also say, I give the girl the gift. So once again, word order, very important here. The dative indirect object shows to or for whom this direct object goes. Aquam puellae porto. Aquam puellae porto. I am carrying, I do carry, the accusative direct object aquam to the dative indirect object puellae. I am carrying the water for the girl. So I am doing this action, and she is somehow indirectly affected by it because the action is for her. She is indirectly affected, dative. So you have to kind of get a sense, a feel of how the dative works. Do not confuse this use of the dative, I give the gift to the girl. We've already seen a prepositional phrase to somewhere, but that's always been towards somewhere. So the Romans consider I give the gift to the girl. You're not moving. I'm just giving. I'm not like walking towards the girl or moving in any way towards the girl. I mean, I'm extending my hand, I guess, when I have the gift in my hand, giving the gift. But the Romans did not consider this to indicate motion. So you've already seen ad with the accusative showing motion, like aquam ad puellam porto. So I am carrying the accusative direct object ad puellam, towards the girl. Accusative motion towards the girl. Ad puellam. The water's not for her. That would be puellae. This sentence example, that would be dative. So the ad plus the accusative here is definitely showing that we are moving this direct object towards the girl. Whereas here, the action is somehow for her. Also, the dative has a possession, somewhat like the genitive. There's a little bit of a difference between them. The difference can be slight. The dative of possession indicates ownership, or it indicates what is being possessed, the noun being possessed, and it uses sum esse fui futurus to be. So we have sentence example, erat amico meo filius. So literally, this says erat, there was, amico meo, dative of possession. Go ahead and translate it to or for my friend. There was to my friend filius, a nominative subject son. There was to my friend a son. There was a son to my friend. That sounds weird. That sounds odd. So we usually translate this as my friend had a son. Notice this is past tense. My friend had a son. There was a son to my friend. The dative of possession is very much used with familial relations, so son. So I have a father, es pater mihi, like he is my father, I have a father. The dative of possession shows that there is ownership or possession. So my friend had a son. More stress is being laid on the nominative subject son, because the dative is that indirect thing. It's not direct. It's kind of off on the sidelines somewhere, somehow being affected. So the main focus of our thought should be on the filius, the son, because nominative case. That's the nominative, that's the subject of the verb. This is what the sentence is more or less about. But in here on the sidelines is my friend. And my friend has some sort of relationship to the son. And to the Romans, this indicates some degree of possession. So this is emphasizing that there is possession, as in my friend has a son. If we use a genitive of possession, the stress would be laid on the possessor, on my friend. Instead, the emphasis is being laid on the son. You've already seen this example, actually, back in chapter 1. Mihi nomen est. The name to me is, my name is. There is a name to me, meaning I have a name. All right, optime, very well done. You are now ready to move on to chapter 6's English exercise. Valete omnes.